I am Dmitry Shevelenko, Dmitry Shevelenko, Shevelenko, and I am the co-founder of Tortoise.
Tell me what Tortoise is.
So Tortoise makes a very cute remote-controlled sidewalk delivery robot, and it can carry everything from groceries to a bunch of rotisserie chickens going from a prep facility to a store, and everything in between. And so we build the robot, and then we provide this remote-controlled delivery service where your delivery driver doesn't have to be where the products are. They can be anywhere in the world.
Where did this idea come from? I mean, there had to have been a moment where the epiphany came to you or your partner. You said you're a co-founder, so somebody else, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how did this even evolve?
Yeah, so when we founded Tortoise, our aha moment was when it comes to automation on public rights of way, the sequencing really matters, right? We're not going to start with full-on self-driving cars going 60 miles per hour everywhere. And so the three pillars behind Tortoise's approach were low speed comes before high speed. So something going 4 miles per hour on a sidewalk is a lot less dangerous than something going 60 miles per hour on a road. Second pillar was light mass comes before heavy mass. So you don't need a 2-ton truck to deliver 50 chickens. And so we built lightweight electric vehicles, not heavyweight ones like cars and trucks. And then the third pillar is remote controlled comes before autonomous. When you're operating on public rights of way, you have to deal with these tricky little creatures called humans. And until we develop something close to artificial general intelligence, we're never going to have software that can perfectly anticipate what another human is going to do. And so the only way to fight fire with fire is to have another human on the other end of it. And so that's why the remote control piece is so important. You know, I mean, you saw today a real delivery happen in Grand Rapids, and there were probably 50 things that happened on that 3-mile route that were unexpected, but it was fine because we had a remote driver on the other end of it.
Where is this remote driver? Where is this being conducted out of?
So it literally can be anybody with a laptop, an internet connection, and an Xbox controller. So it doesn't matter whether you're 50 feet away or 5,000 feet away. And so Tortoise, think of us as almost building this global call center network for remote drivers. And so, the remote drivers, we have some based in the US, we have some based in actually Mexico City. I think for the delivery that happened today, the remote driver was in Mexico City. And so, the robot in Grand Rapids was being controlled by somebody several thousand miles away.
With an Xbox controller and a laptop?
Yes. It's just like playing a video game. So the remote driver is able to see out of the 3 cameras that are in the robot. And so the really important part of making remote controlled driving work is actually the low speed. Because the one thing you have to be really mindful of is the latency. So the amount of time it takes for the data signal to go from the robot to go up through T-Mobile or AT&T to the cloud, and then go to the screen of that remote driver. And so if you're going at these lower speeds, the latency isn't even noticeable to that remote driver. But if you're going 60, 70 miles per hour during 200 milliseconds of latency, your car is going to be able to go 8-10 feet, where it's just going a few inches when you're in remote driving mode. So that's why we named the company Tortoise. Is we made a pretty intentional bet that the low speed piece is going to be important for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the name makes sense. Okay, so is this like a pilot program that's happening here in Grand Rapids with this, or do you have like 10 of these dropped in different areas around the country that you're kind of sampling and doing? What's the story behind it?
Yeah, so we are expanding nationwide. We have deployments in California, on the East Coast. We're very excited to have Grand Rapids be our first Midwest deployment, and our first in Michigan. This is also our first middle mile use case where we're using the robot to deliver items in between two stores or between a prep facility and a store, as opposed to just doing from a store to a customer's home. And so, yeah, but in terms of how these deployments typically start, we don't want to invade a community. So we just start with one or two robots and get it going. And usually the community comes back and says, wait, I want my groceries delivered by a robot. So everywhere we've gone, they keep asking for more robots. They're cute, they're safe, and they're incredibly flexible. And I think that's kind of the thing we're seeing in Grand Rapids. We use the exact same robot, the exact same technology, and we're now doing middle mile deliveries, whereas in all of our other deployments, it was a last mile delivery. So we're really excited to learn with the team at Bridge Street Market, and I think we're eager to also offer last mile delivery in the community as well. But first, we want to perfect doing these chicken routes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Michigan is primarily a winter state. 9 months of the year, you're dealing with 45 degrees or less temperature, ice, snow. 100 inches, 75 to 100 inches of snow happens in Grand Rapids on an annual basis. Is there concerns that the robot might have some struggles getting around when mid-January, when it's on a morning or an afternoon drive, that there's going to be ice chunks and slippery areas and bad visibility or anything like that?
Well, hey, if I was worried about Michigan winters, I would not have started this deployment in November. So we're going into it eyes wide open. I mean, I think it's one of the things we're keen on learning. The important thing to remember, one of the really powerful technologies we're developing isn't just the hardware; it's the routing engine. And so, oftentimes the way we approach, a difficult terrain is not by writing better software to handle that terrain better. It's just by avoiding the difficult terrain, right? So I think there will be some ice conditions where it's just not the best spot for our robot to go, and obviously safety is our number one operating priority. But we can mitigate a lot of that with routing. The simplest way to understand our robot, and I'm sure your viewers are seeing it on the screen as I'm talking, it's like an electric wheelchair with a smartphone built into it. And instead of a seat, you've got a big container or two containers that go on top of it. And so whenever you're imagining, how our robot would handle a specific trip, just think about how somebody in an electric wheelchair would navigate that. And, I think we'll uncover, there's stretches of sidewalk that could probably benefit from some de-icing. But I think there's a lot of other pedestrians and others that will benefit as we drive those learnings.
Last question. Where do you hope to take this? I mean, if this is successful, which clearly it proved today that it's going to be, and as this thing rolls out nationwide, I mean, eventually, are you hoping that people can place orders, random people on a side street, and a robot can deliver their groceries to them directly? I mean, is that fair to say, or is that too far down the road?
No, I mean, we're doing that today. That's the plan, right? The plan is if you live within 3 miles of a grocery store, place an online order, and then one of our zero emissions robots will bring it to your house. And by the way, the cost of your groceries will be less because grocers, all of their costs, like these middle mile trips, they're able to use us. That costs them less money. So, we're hopefully able to drive down some of these inflationary pressures, but just making the entire supply chain more efficient. But yeah, we're incredibly excited to bring zero emissions, affordable, contactless home delivery and middle mile delivery to every community. We're delighted to be in Grand Rapids. It's been an incredibly warm reception, and let us know what we can be doing to serve the community better.
Awesome. Anything else you want to share, Dmitry, about it, or do you think we covered it?
I think we covered it.
All right, buddy. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.